Stephen Jenkinson, welcome back. I think this is the fourth time
Oh,
you and I
really?
have been in front of the camera and the mic together, and it is truly a
Okay.
pleasure. Thank you for coming back.
Yes, always an honor, and I appreciate the invitation and your time.
Thank you, brother. Tell me, how do I even open this, Stephen? I don't want to ask how you're doing.
Okay.
I have a sense that there's a shift. Maybe I'll
Well,
just,
isn't there always, though?
okay.
I mean, isn't there always? I mean, if you're really paying attention, your life is a sequence of shifts, occasionally interrupted by a through line. I think that's probably the deal, right? And when you're shocked, it's because you forgot.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course, there's a I shouldn't say of course, no. There's in the last year or no year and a half,
Mm.
there's a disturbance in the firmament around here for me, and a sort of a drastic, in the beautiful alchemical sense of that term. I'll tell you what it is in a second,
Okay.
but a drastic sort of recombining of the possibilities, I guess.
Mm.
And I imagined a certain thing for myself here in the towards the end of the second act of a three-act play, and it ain't going to go that way.
Mm.
So it's going to go another way, and the physician's end of things has been fairly clear about it. And there was a year of or 10 months probably of such acute devastation
Mm.
and sorrow of the enduring kind
Mm.
that I didn't really know that there was going to be anything else.
Mm.
But there's that, and there's other things,
Mm.
right? So drastic now. Drastic is a beautiful word. It doesn't mean acute, really. The word comes from us to us from alchemy and all that gear, and the general tone of it is exceedingly strong medicine
Mm.
or exceedingly strong elixir, or really dialed in and dialed up for to contend well with whatever ails you culturally or clinically.
Mm.
That's the gist of it. So it's drastic days I'm in.
Mm.
Yeah. And I'm not fine. I should add that too. I'm not. I have no obligation to be fine,
Mm-hmm.
with it or on account of it or any of that other stuff.
Yeah.
Nor did I think anybody else does either. So I'm glad you didn't ask me how I'm doing, because I would have had no recourse whatsoever to that that allegation that fine is somehow a worthy word to trot out at a time like this. I'm
Yeah.
not sure that it is. It just doesn't describe very much.
Mm.
So I'm here
Mm.
and I'm talking to you, and so far we're as agile as we're likely to be, speaking for myself at least, and I'm happy to be tested on the matter.
Mm. Stephen, would you mind sharing a little bit of what transpired 10 months ago?
Well, it was a diagnosis. I mean, it's you can sort of tell it was a diagnosis, and it was a diagnosis that's non fatal in the short or medium term. In the long term, of course, the entire arrangement is fatal. But in this case, this is degenerative without being fatal, which is not a great combination of news.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody knows what they really want for themselves. They say they do, but I can tell you from having been a guardian in the halls of the death trade
Mm.
that generally speaking, people do not know really what they want for themselves in crunch time, because it doesn't look like what you think when you're not there.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get there, it doesn't look like what you thought of, and all your planning and all your advanced directives and all that gear. It doesn't look like that, right? And that's the room you have to leave open, that you could still be wrong about your deepest convictions and heart's desires on these things,
Mm.
right? So what did I envision for myself? Well, a kind of ripened old age. I fancied the notion of lingering for a kind of an unseemly period of time, and being sort of, how should I put this, available for to distress the operation. I mean, I was really looking for not just to be a jerk about things, but I mean, to the extent that recourse to my take on things was deemed a good idea by anybody. I imagined that I'd be relieved from kind of daily duty, if you will, and then sort of save up the good stuff for the odd occasion when the pulpit or the stage opened up, or a moment like this. Yeah. And I mean, it turns out those days may be now.
Okay.
And for the kind of reasonable foreseeable. And I'm not being dramatic, and I'm not being elusive. I'm just saying, you know, that the important stuff I've said. The other stuff is just autobiography. It's just not that relevant. And there'll come a time. I mean, I've written another book after the matrimony book.
You have?
Like in the last year.
All right.
And it's accepted for publication. So likely it will come out about 10 or 11 months from now. And then, quote unquote, all shall be revealed. It's the one and only book I've done where I resorted to autobiography.
Okay.
And you know, between now and then, I'm glad for a lot of things, and I'm kind of sad for the rest. There we are. Yeah.
Thank you. I can feel that. Man, I'm not even sure what direction to go here.
Sure.
I would love to ask you this.
I wasn't talking about it, you see, because it throws a general line of inquiry askew. Of course it does.
Stephen, I view you as I can't remember the guy's name. I don't know if you know this. I'm fresh out of a 7-week dark retreat. I spent 7 weeks alone in a pitch black room, and I got out about 3 weeks ago. So my heart and soul are wide open. My brain's still trying to figure out how to drive a car and use a checkbook and what question to ask. So maybe it's Cus D'Amato, who was Mike Tyson's cornerman. I think that may be the name. And I kind of view you as Cus D'Amato when it comes to death. Now I'm curious, man, what is it like to be the guy knowing he's about to get in the ring himself? That's gotta be a juxtaposition that you've seen it so many times. You've lived it. You've been there. You've held the hands. You're the master. You have so much depth in this arena, yet you only get to experience it for yourself once.
Well, it's not quite true, the last thing you said.
Okay.
I take the point, and you're right in terms of just a kind of basic experience in life. That's true. But there are handfuls at least of walkthroughs, of dress rehearsals, dry rehearsals, like sort of like dry lightning, that kind of experience. There are near misses and near hits galore. If you are a genuine citizen of your locale, then there have been a lot of shuffling off this mortal coils before your own, right around you, both inside your family and, of course, beyond that. And it behooved you at the time to not be a stranger to any of those moments, to risk it all and insinuate your way into things. Why? Well, first of all, you may be of nominal, it's unlikely, but you may be of nominal use or utility or chops or ability or something. You never know. Your timing might be good. You could be turned to. So that's one good reason. But you know, the reason I'm going to suggest now is by far and away the more important one, which is you do not want to be a rookie an amateur, a stranger there in your dwindling days. You really don't want that. Okay. Take that from me now. I'm telling you, there's no preparation. If preparation means risk management or damage control or things of that sort, no, there's no such thing. There's no insurance. Okay. There's assurance, isn't there? There's assurance, not of the likelihoods, of the givens. Okay. And one of the givens is you won't quite know who you are or what's quite asked of you, or you might summarize the whole operation as what now? So yeah, I was enormously lucky. It's a boat going by in the river, so that's the audio here, folks. It's okay. That was my great privilege, wasn't it? Of course it was. And I knew it at the time. And I'm not sitting here now wishing I could rewrite Diewise, for example. Nothing of the kind. No. And maybe when the next book comes out, we can talk about that. But for now, I just say, I'm not saying I got it all right. I'm just saying I didn't blink much in those days. I took it on, and I did take it to heart. Okay. And I'm just saying, by virtue of that experience, there's still no insurance. There's still no assurance. The closest you can come, maybe, is what you just did, or some kind of cross-legged with the stillness thing, eye to eye with the silence. That kind of thing, which you can do without needing the death of a fellow traveler close by to get you in there.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. But you do got to get people to cover for you while you're there. That's a right. So I know what you're asking me, and I'm not slipping a punch here. I'm simply saying to you, I knew it at the time that there's only so much insight that was either available or useful. After which time there's a kind of eclipse that's coming on. It's not obliteration. It's not abomination. It's not evisceration. But it's a kind of, it orders in a beautiful and shocking way. It orders the magnitude of your insights that you've acquired over life. The assignments that you've received. And I've been very lucky. I've got some weighty assignments over the years, and some beautiful, burdensome privileges to go along with those things. And I ain't bitching. I may yet bitch, but as we sit here today, I ain't bitching. I'm just I'm lucky, but I'm not saved. I'm not okay, but I'm here. And I'm wondering, what is asked of me now? You could say.
Okay.
So this is the, P.S. If you have any semblance of a public life, and then certain circumstances roll in that you deem to be not entirely newsworthy, not fitting stuff for your public life, then the question becomes, is there any relationship between this oncomingness and this public life, and knowing the limits of one and wondering how the other might serve the first and things of that sort? That's kind of where I am. My instinct to be useful or to be helpful in some fashion is strong,
Yeah.
but it's the reins have been taken on that matter to a certain extent. And it seems like I have an obligation. I'm not clear about this yet. I'm really talking to you about it more or less for the first time.
Beautiful.
I'm trying to figure out to whom I owe what, given the privileges that have been afforded me, and given that this thing that I'm alluding to clearly won't be, in any sense of the term, a sudden event. Yeah.
How do you navigate this? Is there a part of you that you didn't have access to that perhaps you do now? A depth of feeling, a depth of connection, a connection to, I'm not going to say the word God, but to the soul of the world or the soul of something, because I'm underqualified to say this, but I feel like you're reckoning with things that are bigger than humanity and bigger than a man. And yet you have to reckon with them as a man. I don't want to ask you an impossible question of how does one reckon with this, with the impossible, but Stephen, how do you do it? And I just want to say I have immense reverence for the fact that you're gifting us with your time, and you're gifting us with your knowledge, and you're gifting us with your presence and your wisdom, as you've done for your whole life, but especially now. I want to like pour reverence through this,
Not my whole life, man.
the Zoom screen.
Yeah, thank you. I was a bit adrift and aloft, in the early stages of things. So I certainly not my whole life. I mean, well, anyway, that's another story. So how do you do? Well, that presumes that I'm doing it. And I mean, one of the notes I'm trying to strike for you here now is an understanding that it's not, this stuff doesn't give itself away. It doesn't say, you're getting a baby, you got it now. It's like this. I have to give you a kind of story image rather than an idea. Okay. I think it's more useful. If you've ever spent any time on the ocean shore in particular, got to be an ocean, you'll see why in a second. And you may be sitting there and you're reckoning on the waves, right? It's a remarkable encounter, that wave thing. It seems so sameness upon sameness. And of course, each one of these things is like the wrinkle around an old person's eyes. Each one is, God, that didn't look like the last one. And oh man, and the seventh wave, don't forget that one. And then there's the, what is it, 100th monkey wave probably, and all kinds of other stuff I don't even know anything about. My point is that you go eventually to sleep, having had the remarkable experience of in, out, and so on. You come back, this quote, the same place the next day, except there's no place where that place used to be. Why not? Waves came up in the night. This thing they call a king tide might have come in. Maybe a tsunami because of something that happened over in Russia. Whatever it is, there's no place that answers to the place of yesterday. It's not all gone, but it's clawed something of the shoreline. And we don't know where that gone part of the shoreline is somewhere in the ocean. Or maybe it's been thrown up 2 miles further down, or whatever it is. That, my friend, is very much what it's like. You're not sitting in the same place come the next day, because the nature of this particular thing is you don't know who's waking up. The best you can do is have some figure on who's going to sleep. But you don't know who's waking up.
Yeah.
So it turns you into a small b, non-practicing, non-ideological Buddhist. You do your absolute damnedest to inhabit the kind of the slightest momentary place that'll have you.
Yeah.
That's kind of it. And on my better days, or if I'm feeling good, which I am in both cases right now, I can find a way of making this available to you. It doesn't keep you at arm's length. but doesn't lie to you either.
Mm-hmm.
That's the line I'm trying to find, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know where this came from. It came from the death trade days when I realized that my principal responsibility to the dying people was something they'd never asked me to deliver on, which is not help them die. It was get them to die. I think you feel the tonal difference between those two things.
Mm-hmm.
Help people die means that they recognize that what you're doing, quote, registers upon them as being helpful.
Yeah.
That means it's consistent with what they want.
Mm.
Or you could push it a little further and say, probably a little bit colluding too.
Mm.
I realized I had a separate responsibility in that regard. And I never really did that.
Mm.
So I got people to die instead. And I didn't expect that they would experience my presence in their lives as being comfort giving, principally, or shaving the edges off, that sort of thing, you know. That sensibility is still with me, as you can probably tell.
Mm-hmm.
And that sense of responsibility or even mission is with me. And I am in the throes of trying to imagine, as I did in the Die Wise days, as I did in the Come of Age days, trying to figure out what the translation of the understanding is. The understanding is kind of available to me.
Mm-hmm.
The grainy translation, you know, the nuts and bolts translation.
Yeah.
That's the work.
Mm.
As clear as I can tell for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet.
Stephen, how do you keep your humanness with this? Like, do you have anxiety when you go to sleep, wondering, is tomorrow going to be a day that's past a threshold that I'll never get past from? I mean, there's such a human element to even the most poetic, philosophical, spiritual, sacred understanding of this magical path that you're on and journey that we're all on. And there's a human, there's someone who, you know, I'll share with you, when I was in the dark, there was a day that I just broke down crying because I miss cinnamon.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not addicted to cinnamon. I just miss cinnamon.
At least you weren't.
And I even wrote I have a little notebook in there with me, and I wrote, I miss my silly little life.
There
And
you
I'm
go.
curious how you hold that in one hand and then the profundity of everything that you've said in 21 minutes and everything that you'll say in the next couple months in the other hand.
I don't know if you're asking me about strategy. I
No,
don't know.
I don't think it's strategy. I think it's humanity. It's
Well,
how do you not get
don't
crushed
eliminate.
by the humanness of all of this?
Who says you don't get crushed?
How do
I don't
you
think that's,
how do you get back up then?
well, you got to land first, don't you?
Hmm.
You do have to hit bottom, and you kind of the sooner the better.
Yeah.
No. I mean, this is dark humor. It's dark Celtic humor, what I'm going to say to you now, but I just come across it the other day and I thought, shit, yeah, that's pretty good. So there was one of these outer islands, Hebrides, I don't know, wherever the writer was. And he was talking with the fishermen who were still going out there in the dories, you know, oaring out there and oaring back in, all in the nighttime to get their daily catch if they could, nightly catch. And not one of them in 10 barely could swim. And so the guy can't believe this, right? The reporter or whatever he was. And he just asked about this. And they said, make shorter work of going down. They said,
Mm.
makes a shorter work of
Yeah.
drowning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay. As I said, could sound grim,
Yeah.
but you know, there's absolute fidelity to the way it is to be a human in a body in that observation, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you got to land, to quote, get back up again, don't you? And I mean, There's dread. There's a sense of being hunted.
Oof.
Oh, sure. There's a wondering after what constitutes mercy.
Mm.
Uh, the best advice I got was almost right out of the gate. It sounded so fucking lame at the time that I just wouldn't have it, you know. It had to come around to me frequently before I started to fess up to the fact that, God, that's righteous, actually. And it's not going to sound like a big deal when I tell you, but whoever it was said to me, well, good days, bad days.
Mm.
Like I said, sounds like a fridge magnet,
Mm-hmm.
right? But man,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't figure them out
Mm.
and try to get a sense of which one is which in the one that you're in currently, you'll be forever pressing upon the one to try to turn it into the other, right? Instead of somewhat being on the receiving end of the nature of the thing and what it asks of you. Not so much what it does to you, that's there too. But for every incoming sort of mini disaster, there's all kinds of, so what do you know? So what use was all of that that you did? And so you got your 7th book is coming out. So see, there's no place to live that out. And the truth is that I remain principally alive. But the nature of that aliveness is not as self-evident as when I was cruising.
I get that.
See, but here's the thing. This is some dark shit too. You can cruise again. And it leads you to ask yourself, as I've done, God in heaven, what does it take for our imagination to be absolutely nailed to the wall and stop wandering around for no particular reason? like Jesus, what does it take already?
Yeah.
I mean, how bad, how weird, how sideways does it have to go?
Yeah.
Before your old habits and your old accustomed inadequacies and all the rest of it, your repertoire, your chops, your shit, your everything, stops laying the claim to you that it's accustomed to doing. There. See? So that's the work ultimately, isn't it? And how else can you faithfully inhabit? I mean, people use the expression be present, not my favorite term. So I'll just say, how can you inhabit the day entrusted to you if you're forever importing the gear, the repertoire, right? The song list from some other time and place?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's easy. It's not supposed to be easy.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I think that's part of the assignment.
Yeah. Stephen, what do you feel like you're being hunted by? That landed heavy in me. Like, whew, that is a hell of an experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I suspect it's a kind of voracious eclipse. And that doesn't sound that bad. See, you're going to imagine if I said something like annihilation, you go, oh, fuck yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a bad one.
That's
or,
a bad one. Yeah.
Or having my throat torn out in the middle of there, something like this.
Sure.
Now, the truth is it's eclipse is a pretty good rendering of the sensoria around the thing. Like, I could tell you this. I've been exceedingly fond of what my mind has let me in on.
Mm.
Really fond. I think well of it. I hope this doesn't throw anybody off, but I think it's proper to say that this mind that I was entrusted with, I'm a fan. It's been remarkable. I mean, when I think of all those hundreds and hundreds of times I stood up in front of a microphone with no visible means of support. And soon enough, it began to roll and it came to me. Mm-hmm. And it went laterally and it leapfrogged forward and it doubled back and I could track it and follow it. I love my mind for that. And I will miss it something fierce.
I can say we all will too. I remember seeing you on stage here in Denver and listening to your stories, and just being overtaken by the relationality of what you were doing. I was going to say the genius, but that's not fair. What it was how I could feel everything that you were saying, how connected you were, and how easy it was to be a part of the world that you were sharing through your stories. So I will miss your mind as well.
Thank you, man. That's two of us at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stephen, you mentioned mercy, and I'm curious if there is indignation and almost a younger part of you, a very young part of you that wants to stomp your feet and say, this isn't fair.
No.
Okay.
Not at all. Please don't get me wrong though. I'm not saying the opposite is true because that is not true. I'm not saying, I'll say it again. I'm not fine.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with anything.
Mm.
I don't feel any resignation of the kind of the allegation that resignation is supposed to confer some kind of peace of mind and all.
Yeah.
Nope. Then what? I'm trying to figure out what our deal is. Up until fairly recently, as I said a minute ago, our deal was, I was the beneficiary of our deal. Mm. Me and life. Mm-hmm. I really was. And there's been no foreclosure. I would say that I don't have any sense at all of being turned against or turned away from in some fashion or used and discarded people can do that to you from time to time, but I don't think that's in life's repertoire. So that what you then you feel what sort of nothing? No, shit. No, I've said all. Look, just use your imagination. Whatever you come up with, yeah, that's there. Sure. All the sorrow. It's a remarkable word when you start to really live it out. The kind of unspeakable sorrow and sadness of the thing, and the lack of recourse. Things like that are tough. But then it's not entirely true that there's no recourse. Oh, do you mean cure? No, I don't mean cure. No, they're very clear about this. No, by recourse, I mean, so there's an opportunity. Oh, okay. Come on. You saw it in the show. I couldn't say it any better than the etymology of the word fate. Right? So as you may recall, the gist of it goes like this. We use the word fate today to describe, oh, poor sucker, man, the fix is in for you. That's what we use fate to signal, right? Just a complete foreclosure and collapse of any possibility except the given one. Like the inevitable chain around your neck or whatever. In actual fact, fate comes from the Latin verb to fashion or to make or to call into being, sort of thing. So the gist of it is that fate, even your fate and mine, if you want to personalize it, comes down to the following. look, now the gods have spoken. Okay. That's what chemistry is. That's what biology is. That's what photosynthesis is. That's what gravity is. That's what hydraulics is. I could go on with all those. You get the idea. The givens of life are the gods having spoken. So we would do well to draw nigh to their murmuring. Okay. Okay. What the gods haven't spoken is how you and I shall be given that they've spoken. We'll see is what that comes down to. And you do have a part to play, and I have a part to play in, I guess you could say, what it means that they've spoken as they have, right? You participate to some degree in meaning making. And some people, unkindly could call that a coping strategy. Call it what you want. I'm not listening.
Sure.
I think what it is trying to keep faith with what served you so well in days of yore. Trying to keep faith with it, it's not clear that it's blinked on me because all this is coming down. So, okay, so then why would I blink accordingly? So maybe it's, it's trying to remain drawn to it and continuing to learn its murmuration, Yeah, it's like that. And good days, bad days. And, it's important walking around here on the farm for me to just do this. Because it's a bit of a postural dilemma now. So I'm, walking is an action of chest out, shoulders back, chin up, regard the sky, move. One foot in front of the other, no particular purpose. You don't feel like it. Of course, that's understood. And next, another step, and then another, and go. And as banal as that may sound to you, and it is banal, it's as banal as you sitting in a dark room day after friggin' day. It's very similarly banal. But the banal places, a lot of things are born there. And they're not to, distraction is overrated. I'd say.
The banal is profound.
Yeah.
It's profound.
It's wombish, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel this, Stephen, or if it's even possible for someone to feel it because it's their own life. But I view all that you've done and the way that you've lived almost as like you're a mythological character. You're a main character in an amazing story. And I'm curious if you ever think of this next phase that you're going to go through a mythological lens or a storied lens, because I remember each of the interviews I've done with you, and especially the first one where I felt like I would ask a question and then I would get this tremendous story from you. And I even joked with people who said, like, how was your interview with Stephen? I said, well, I'd ask a question and then he would give me an answer that would make me have more questions than I had answers, but they were beautiful stories. And so I'm curious, are you able to, or are you choosing to, or is it even in your consciousness to view this next journey or the journey that you're on right now from a storybook or a storytelling lens or a mythological lens?
Well, I think you've heard some of that since we began talking just now. And my recourse to kind of giving a kind of vignette that carries the weight and the momentum of what I mean, that sort of thing. So that's there, sure. But it's really important. Young people who are listening to me now, it's very important that you not assume the position of storyteller in your own life. No, that's no good, because you don't know what it sounds like. You still have to bring a lot of things to language. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But don't do so with a degree of authority exercised over the domain here. Not at all. You're on the receiving end of most of what your life means, not the crafting end. That's why there's people around you, because eventually you'll have nothing more to say. You, my friend, will be done. And the meaning of your life begins to gather and crystallize around your goneness, not around your presence. Right? That becomes the altered kind of presence. Right? Okay. So you can't really do that if you're sitting there just extemporizing over. Look, I've heard a lot of people sitting kind of where I'm sitting now. And I've heard them speak with frankly, abominable authority. Sorry, it's a little harsh, but there it is. Let's call it unseemly. That's a better
word. Unseemly.
Authority over the comings and goings that are besetting them. You know, the last thing I said on a piece called Still, that was part of the Nights of Grief and Mystery, the last line went something like this. Do you still want to be still? Then be stilled. It doesn't come from you first. It comes from being on the receiving end of a stilling proposition. You know, stillness, as you have encountered very recently, doesn't mean nothing's happening. Right? Stillness is a particular order of existence that's whereby you pass through things like alarm, distress, morbid boredom, fixation with what's happening now, the attempt to ride herd over the matter. You know, we could just keep going. And you realize this is all practice for the big one, isn't it? Of course it is. Capital B, capital O, the big one. That's what it is. And so this is good. It makes you a kind of reliable citizen. If people can see the mark of finality upon you without you being annihilated by it. You see, don't forget that many of the world's mystery religions in particular have a certain caveat they build right into their gospels, if you will. And the gist of it is this. Listen now, there's certain kinds of truths that will serve you well if you're exposed to them at an early age. Oh, they'll be taxing, but ultimately it's a good deal. And there's other kinds that are fit for when you're out of the house and out of the womb and out of the cradle and all of that. Yeah, that's important. But listen, there are certain encounters with God which will kill you thousands of times over if they come to you too soon in your life. You need a certain degree of wear and tear, slings and arrows, whatever else takes the shine off. You know, you're not showroom condition anymore. All of that stuff seems to be a prerequisite to you being able to carry the crazy making charge of a more or less unmediated encounter with the big one, with the way it is, with the thing, with God.
Yeah.
So you could say then that time spent alone, as you've done, or the remarkable encounter with a kind of diagnosis is another. And there's kinds for sure. But these things could be relied upon, I think, to be, well, a woman I speak to, an apothecary. I didn't even know there was such people, but there are. And I've spoken to this apothecary maybe 6 or 8 times. And one time I'm going to mango, because she said it quite beautifully. I was talking about the beast. I may have referred to this thing as the beast. She said, how do you know that the fear and the sorrow isn't God? Not come from God, not intended by God, but God, God's own self. Man, I grew to love that proposition. How do you know that your heartbreak is not God? Okay. Well, that'll keep you engaged for a while. Won't it? Yeah. So sometimes I remember.
Yeah, that's worthy of sitting under a tree for 40 straight days and trying to contemplate.
It is. Sure it is.
Yeah. Stephen, do you know when you're going to die?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, what people have said to me is something in the order of, oh God, you're in the early stage. This could be a long time.
I guess I was asking if my father died a year ago, and I had gotten word that he may have somewhere between 2 and 3 weeks left, and I was unsure of whether to, and he was lucid, but would not be.
Yeah.
And so I called a mentor of mine, a therapist who's been a therapist for 50 years, and said, I need to game this situation. Who comes to you more often? People who get to see their parent when they're lucid, but not see them when they pass, or see them when they pass and they're not lucid? And he said, why don't you ask your dad when he's going to go? And I didn't know we could do that. And I swear to God, I hung up the phone and I got a message from my sister saying, hey, dad just said he's going to be passed in 5 days and you may want to get here. And those were the last words that he uttered. And so I'm curious, not diagnostically, not medically, but do you, Stephen Jenkinson, the man and the soul, have an idea? Because you live, I'm projecting on you, but I project that you live with one foot in a different world.
Yeah, but they don't tell you everything. So, don't forget that part. If that's what you're hankering after, they go, well, they say to me stuff like, well, who knows? And I say, what do you mean, who knows? If you don't know.
Yeah, seriously.
And then they say, well, maybe nobody knows. And you say, well, what's the use of me talking to you then? Yeah. And they say, who said there was any use in talking to us? And it just keeps going like that. And they're kind of Hasidic, in a goofy way. And I'm not making light here. Hopefully I'm trying to be slightly joyful in the teeth of the storm, Yeah. But no, there's been no revelation on that matter. I can tell you that in terms of my genetic inheritance, my DNA, I'm right on the friggin' bubble. In terms of who I resemble physically and the rest.
Okay.
And, every man, I don't know if this is true for women, but virtually every man knows how old his father was when his father died.
Yeah, I could tell you.
And they live their life coming on to that time. Right? It's quite a remarkable compass of a sort. I don't have that. And like I said, my inheritance says, anytime now. But there's all kinds of outliers to inheritance, isn't it? So I don't have an instinct for it. I'm not projected, days at a time into that inquiry. And it's not just because I got stuff to do. I mean, if I turned the camera around, showed you this room, there's boxes and boxes of books that I've signed, which we are now going to talk about in a moment.
Okay.
And that are due to go to the people who've asked me to sign for them, for them, and so on, and inscribe them, and so on. And So I do that,
Mm.
don't I? And
Yeah.
then I go and watch the sheep in action, or inaction, as sheep are wont to do. And you know, the ordinariness of life is as blessing laden as any peak experience you could imagine.
Amen.
But Jesus, do you ever need to slow down a bit?
Mm-hmm.
And so, how do I know that being slowed down this way isn't God?
Mm.
And the honest answer is, I don't know that it's not God.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm taking the suggestion under advisement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a funny feeling it feels like God.
Could be. I mean, I don't know what feeling like God feels like, but it's not a complete coming out of nowhere
Yeah.
thing, for sure. So you're right. 1 foot in a kind of elsewhere for
Yeah.
quite a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask one more question before we get to your book?
Okay, sure.
I used to do a live show where there'd be an audience and I called it Unplugged, and it was before Zoom, before we all lived on Zoom. And at the end of the show, I would ask the guests who'd come on and gifted us with their time, their knowledge, their expertise, what can we do for you? And normally it stumped the guest. And oftentimes people would say, I truly don't have an answer for that question. I'll have to get back to you.
Okay.
And I'm curious,
Yeah.
if I give you the mic and say, hey brother, you've given us so much, even just on this podcast and the ones you've come on prior. What's your ask, Stephen? If you could ask for anything from anybody listening.
It doesn't feel like an ask exactly, but it's close as I can get right now.
Sure.
I would say uh, err, ERR.
Mm.
That's what I would say. Okay, wise guy, what does that mean? Well, what it means, I mean, it's bad form to unpack the thing. It sounds so more sagely if you just leave it there.
Yeah.
But I'm not really that guy, so I'm this guy instead. So this is a beautiful etymology. The verb to err, the Old English verb to err, means to essentially to wander from the furrow. So it actually is an agricultural term. You're behind the plow, isn't it? It's making a furrow and you're walking in the furrow. And when you err, you wander from the furrow, which of course from a sort of agricultural production point of view is hard on the bottom line. And in life too, probably. But to inadvertently stumble out of the furrow is to experience the field in a way that the plow will never understand.
Mm.
And that's why I say it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Tell me about the book. Tell me everything you'd like to share about the book, everything we can know about the book.
Sure, there it is.
Matrimony.
Right. Can you see the subtitle okay?
It's a little blurry.
Okay. It says Ritual, Culture, and the Heart's Work. That's the subtitle. And it's the shortest book I've written, I think. It's 250 scant pages. I mean, it'll be over before you get used to it. And I can tell you what I did with this thing was I remembered mobilizing around money and the spiritual life in the first book called Money and the Soul's Desires. I remember mobilizing around dying and death phobia and grief illiteracy that produced Die-Wise. I remember doing the same thing around not aging so much as elderhood and agedness that produced that endeavor. I did the same thing with the living in pandemical times, turned into a book called Generations Worth. And I decided that matrimony deserved the same treatment. the same, all ahead full cultural critique regard. Why matrimony in particular, though? Well, simply because some years ago, just prior to the pandemic now, or just a little more sooner than that, young people younger than me began to approach me explicitly with the request for me to conduct their weddings. Now, you got to admit, I'm a bit of a wild card. On interviews, you got to admit that's probably true. That's not by design. That's just, you do this, I do this. That's why. Because this is what you get when it's my turn. That's why. But it was very odd that they would ask me to do this. So I would ask them back, why are you asking? In two senses of why. Why me? And why are you asking? And the why me, they didn't have much to say. I mean, they were kind and they were congratulatory and they were appreciative. But that still didn't explain the other part. Why did they want this kind of out of this erroneous wedding, let's call it? What were they after? And the words they used were things like authentic, personal, meaningful. And you could hear they were riffing on not what was present in the weddings that they'd been to before their own, but what was missing, what was gone without a trace, or what had never been in the weddings that they were thinking of and avoiding at all costs. But the biggest adjective by far was real. They wanted something real.
Yeah.
Okay. When I listened carefully with all their associations with these words, it was very clear that for these, God bless them, these young people, their take was that real means good. Now, last time you checked out real, it didn't mean good.
No, it just means real. Yeah.
Well, it means a lot of things, but good is not one of them. Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah. In a fleeting sort of way, for sure. But you ain't going to get what you want if you want the real thing.
Yeah.
Okay, because nobody goes to a wedding to change the world. But me. I did. I took the first assignment. I told them it was going to take a year to prep. They said, what are we doing over a year's time? I said, well, we'll see. We'll see if you've got it in you. You talk now a pretty good line about what you want from me and you want the real thing and so on. But if you want the real thing, I'm going to see to it, the best of my powers, that the real thing will come in. But let's be clear right now, you're not counting on that. You're counting on kind of special day status with some funk. That's kind of what you have in mind. Okay. And your fantasies about the special day will not survive a quarter of our preparation time. So, I mean, but best I can tell you a story. This is kind of queued everything up. So I told them, get your wedding party together. The friends and close associates and, office wives and all of that gear. Get them all in the same room. I'll tell them for 10 or 15 minutes what we're up to. Tell them what I would hope to have happen as a result of them being in on the ride. And then the rest you'll see. But just tell them that they're invited and their presence is deeply required. So they got, let's say, 30 people together. So the day came, I showed up, downtown Toronto, urban hipsters, almost across the board, right? Kind of disappointed, frankly, when they saw me walk in the door, thinking, man, how cool can this possibly get? Look, the guy looks like us, but it's just kind of older. So that was a bit of a letdown for some, but it's not the first time. I'm not a stranger to that. I talked for 15 minutes. Just the gist of it, just the beginnings. And I stopped and I said, okay, I'm not going to say any more. What happens next is you decide in the next 60 seconds, whether you're in or whether you're out, whether you're with us or whether you're elsewhere. Now, you might be thinking you don't have enough information to make the decision, but I've been here in a way that you haven't, and I'm telling you, you do have enough information to make the decision. I'll go further. Many of you have already decided. Okay. So all I'm saying is we're going to make your decision explicit, available, and consequential. So I'm going to stop talking for 2 minutes. During that time of 2 minutes, those of you who are leaving, please leave. You'll do so with our blessing and great gratitude that you gave us this much time. And think of us once in a while, because it's going to be a rough ride. Those of you who staying, just don't move. Do you know what? Easily a third of those people got up and walked out. Wow. Easily. Wow. Don't forget who these people are. They're deep friends. I mean, they're kind of soul companions, the people that they would have imagined going into some kind of spirit war with, etc., and so on. And they're out the door, man. Some of them are glaring as they leave. You know at who? Okay, so the door closes for the last time. I mean, the shock, the sense of sort of, what would you call it, implosion in the room was extraordinary. And somebody well-intended started to get up and move the chairs around to throw us all off the scent that there was no such thing as an empty chair. And I said, no, please sit back down. Leave those empty chairs right where they are. And here's why. Because in a year from now, you're going to need to remember this day to know how far you've come if we get there.
Wow.
Okay. And then you'll have to decide, I don't know how many times between now and then, whether those people knew something that you didn't know, and that's why they left, or whether you intuitively figured on something, counted on something, hoped for something to be so. And that's why you're sitting here, and they didn't do that. And that's where they're gone, or somewhere in between. So I'm telling you that what I did that produced this book, Matrimony, was not kind of a Saturday afternoon sort of walk in the park, destination wedding, or anything of the kind. It was a sequence of extraordinary, often heartbreaking encounters with a kind of remarkable, intransigent cultural poverty that and kind of ritual illiteracy that really wrote its name across the sky in this moment of the wedding. Yeah.
Beautiful. Who do you hope reads this book, Stephen? It'll be the last question I ask you.
Well, I don't know. I don't really have. I mean, would I wish this upon people who are just trying to make it up the aisle without falling over? No, not particularly. But I would wish it that people see this thing early on in their considerations if they're going to see it at all. Why? Well, because if they're going to be thrown off the scent, and there's 250 pages of, oh my God, at work in this thing. I don't know what to wish for people, to be frank. I mean, button up, I guess, knuckle down, I guess.
Yeah.
Listen, it didn't kill me to be Matrimony's spirit lawyer. All those times I agreed to do it. It didn't kill me, but it was hard. I'm going to lie.
Yeah.
It was really hard. The kind of the enmity and the aggression that came my way and sometimes their way as a result of simply calling into question the 15-minute wedding, just calling it into question by refusing to do it, by doing a wedding that lasted 8 or 9 hours, for example, and all that. Never mind the prep, never mind the cast of characters involved in making it happen. Never mind the fact that the lion's share of all the speech making was done by the invited guests. Yeah, that's right. Not the MC, not waiting for the drink to flow, not going back to the ballroom or whatever. No. We did it in answer to the following question. And I know we got to end it, so this is a good place to end. In my jurisdiction, and probably in that of other people listening now, it was a legal requirement of the officiant at some point during the proceedings to say the following. You know what I'm going to say. If anyone here knows any reason why this should not proceed, speak now, forever hold your peace. Everybody knows the line.
Mm-hmm.
What happens most of the time if such a thing gets said at all? And you know what the answer is? Guffaws, some kind of one-liner, somebody cracks off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So kind of a little bit of an awkward moment that lasts about 4 or 5 seconds, no more. And then you're on to the next part of the inevitable sequence that you think you're in. I turned it into a ritual. And by definition, a ritual means you don't know quite how it's going to go. You don't know quite who's in charge. You're not quite clear whether or not that summons you forgot to issue to the dead, to the saints, to the ancients of days, and so on, doesn't mean they're not here. And if your people come around at crunch time and you've spent a long time not with them, then they're kind of unruly house guests, typically. And there's a lot to contend with. And a real ritual maker or ritual herder is not somebody who knows what to do. A lot of people know what to do. It's somebody who knows what to do when everything goes holy shit sideways. And I would say by the end of my tenure, I was one of those.
Yeah.
So I'm going to shamelessly say that's what the book looks like, Matrimony. It's a beautiful blue indigo cover.
It's gorgeous.
And I did pretty good this time.
Well done, sir. Congratulations.
And it's worth the hassle. Go find it, especially find it in a little independent bookstore if you could.
Hell yeah.
And give them benefit of your business. Thank you for asking.
Thank you for being here, man. Truly. Especially at this time.
Surely.
And thank you for all of the wisdom of the years on this podcast and on others. I'm going to wish you,
Amen.
I'm going to give you a real wish, Stephen.
Okay. All right.
More good days than bad. And on the bad days, it just feels like God.
And the ability to tell the difference. Don't forget that part.
The ability to tell the difference.
Hey, listen, let's just say this, okay? I told you I've written another book since Matrimony.
Hell yeah.
Let's talk this time next year because it might be around by then.
I would love to. I'd absolutely love to. I'll see you then.
Okay. Okay.
Have
Thank
a great
you.
rest of your day. Thank you.
Okay.
Take care, brother. Do you want to help support the podcast? I know you do. Perfect. Here's how. Please take 12 seconds, scroll down, slap us with a 5-star review, and share this episode with one person in your life. Think about this. You tip your bartender and he serves you poison. And all I'm doing is pouring soul-stirring truth right into your ears. And if you haven't gotten a chance to grab one of my books, please get a hold of Today I Rise, snag a copy of Man Uncivilized, or get yourself some 28 Days in Darkness. Buy one for yourself, buy one for a friend, and buy one for your ex who's still watching your Instagram stories. I love you. Thank you. Until next time, stay uncivilized.